Good morning or good afternoon, Tigers. Today we're watching a video on Quizzette 720. Please make sure that you have a pen ready to write. Alright, so please make sure that you write your last name, comma, first name. Please write today's date, which is January 16th, 2018. And today I'll say that I'm in purple class. Number 1, 2, and 3 are sort of a review of something we learned in August and September, which are ratios. How do you write a ratio 3 to 4 as a fraction? Some of you will remember, and you already maybe have it written down. 3 to 4 is the same order that it's in the ratio is the same order you write it as a fraction. 3 is first, so 3 is the numerator. 4 is the second thing you read, so it would be the denominator. There, you're done with number 1. Easy. Now, how do I convert that fraction into a decimal? Some of you already went to it. You probably wrote 3.4. That is not correct. Do not write that. I want you to go and erase that right now. So I'm going to go and I'm going to erase that too. Oops, I highlighted it. Okay, I'm going to erase it now. Big no-no. So how do I convert 3 over 4 into a decimal? I divide the numerator, which is 3, by the denominator, which is 4. Does 4 go into 3 evenly? No, it doesn't. So I have to start the decimal and the zero process. Does 4 go into 30? Yes, it does. How many times does it go in it? Evenly. 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, 30 minus 28 is 2. Bring down another 0. Ooh, 4 goes into 25 times, and that goes in evenly, so I can stop right there. So my decimal is 0.75. Now the percentage. What you do when you want to get the percentage of something, let's say they give you a fraction, which is what we started off with right here. We started off with the fraction. You're going to always convert it into a decimal, and then it'll be easy to get the percentage. All you have to do is move the decimal 2 places to the right. So let's do that. Let's move the decimal 2 places to the right. What does that get you? 75%. And there's your answer. The SMP you're using here is a 10 to precision. So that's SMP 6. Go ahead and write a 10 to precision. That means you're being very neat. Now let's look at number 4. I can already tell you that on number 4, I noticed something. That I have a negative coefficient on the variable. And when you have a negative coefficient on the variable, your inequality is going to end up flipping. So I circled it because I have to keep that in mind, and I have to remember that on my very last step. Now this is a 2-step equation. The very first step is to undo addition or subtraction. Then the second step is to undo multiplication or division. So let's do the first step. The thing that's being added or subtracted is that minus 3. So I have to do the opposite to it. I have to add 3. And what I do on one side, I have to do to the other. Now, adding 3 is like adding $3. So you can add 0.0 to that at the end. It doesn't change anything. All right, so on this side, the minus 3 plus 3 cancels, and I'm left with my negative x. So I'm just going to bring that down. My inequality, I'm going to keep the same. Not yet. I don't flip it yet. $5.50 plus $3 is $8.50. Now, this negative x really is a negative 1 times x. So I'm going to undo that multiplication by dividing both sides by the same coefficient, which is just negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is just a positive 1, but I'm just going to write x. Ooh, I divided by a negative number, so this inequality has to flip. So again, I'm going to show you. I divided by a negative number. So when I divided by a negative number, this inequality flipped. So when you divide or multiply by a negative number on your second step, your inequality has to flip. Now this positive 8.5 just turned into a negative 8.5 because it's being divided by a negative number. Okay? Now let's go and plot this. And some of you are going to make a mistake right here. But that's okay because you're going to get a math scar. So I'm going to give you like 5 seconds to go plot negative 8.5. Go put a point on negative 8.5. Okay? Now I'm going to show you some mistakes some of you might have made. Some of you might have said 8.5 or negative 8.5 is right here. Negative 8.5 is right here. Think about why that's wrong. Other people might have said, oh, 8.5 right here. Now think about why that's wrong too. And if you made that mistake, go ahead and erase it. So the right spot for it is this red spot right here. It's negative 8.5. So it's in the middle, in between negative 8 and negative 9. Not between negative 8 and negative 7, because this number right here is negative 7.5. And that is not what we want. And this point over here is 8.5, but we want negative 8.5. So we want negative, this little dot is negative 8.5, which is what we want. So is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle? It's going to be a closed circle because our inequality has an equal sign on the bottom. Here's another question. Is it going to be to the right or to the left? The arrow is pointing to the left. So we shade everything to the left of the dot. Now that is the right graph. The SMP you're using here is SMP 4, which states model with mathematics. Number 5. This, we are just distributing that negative 2. So negative 2 times 3.45x and negative 2 times negative 4.7. So let's say we change this to negative 2 times 3.45x plus negative 4.7. Those are the same thing right here. This and this is the same thing. Subtraction of a number is the same as the addition of the opposite. Okay, so now let's draw our arrows on the second one as well. Remember, those arrows represent multiplication. Negative 2 times 3.45x. Let's do it on the side. 3.45x times 2. But remember, your answer is going to be negative. So you can just write the negative right here. And your answer is going to have an x. 5 times 2 is 0, is 10. 0, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Bring down your decimal. And 3 times 2 is 6. Actually, you don't bring down your decimal. I'm sorry. There are 2 decimal places, so at the end, you go 2 decimal places as well. So your first term is going to be negative 6.90x. But you're not done. You have one term, and you need another term right here. Plus, and then you know a negative times a negative is positive. So now you just have to do 4.7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 4. Carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. And you went 1 decimal place and 1 decimal place. And that's 9.4. And that's positive because you had a negative times a negative is positive. So you can write another plus, but it's just redundant. You don't need to. And that is your answer. And if you notice, number 5 does not have an SMP. So you do not have to write an SMP. All right, so just keep that in mind. For number 4, if you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative on the second step, then you flip it. But here you don't have a negative coefficient on Tuesday. Let's look at other days. Number 4 on Wednesday, you don't have a negative coefficient. On Thursday, you do have a negative coefficient. So you have to flip the inequality on Thursday. And yeah, just try your best. If you have a question, look at your math notes or please raise your hand.